about that. I was just letting people in and setting up I was just setting up the live feed for the YouTube broadcast as well. And of course, trying to get all this set up. So let me just check to make sure that we are broadcasting. Hello to everybody. Glad to see so many people. And I'm excited to see Steve SF is out here. Never see you, Steve. You must have a good bogus story tonight.
Oh boy, it's a good one.
Let's see here. I've totally lost track of what I was doing. I'm trying to find where I keep YouTube on my phone. There it is. So hello to all. Erez, I don't see you, but I know you're there. You're there twice. Okay. You have your phone on one and then your computer on the other. Is that what's going on there?
Yes, still organizing here.
Let's see here. You know, it's funny. Let's see, live feed. I've got to learn how to use our website. Wow, it looks different. They've changed the formatting. I wish I knew what I was doing. Home video, playlist channels. What am I? Oh, I'm on YouTube. What am I talking? What am I doing? All right, here we go. Is this live? I think this is live. So sorry, I forgot where I was. For some reason, I thought I was on W6SFM. Okay, there you go. Not a very long delay on it either. That's pretty good, actually. So let me drag one more window over real quick. Everybody will get to see this exciting window on YouTube. And now go back here. Okay, great. I just want to be able to monitor. So I see that I was probably the only person on the live feed because we have so many people here tonight. Thank you. I have to keep my eye. Hey, even Mike is here. So yeah, these resistors here, this is a good resistor, obviously, and this is not a good resistor, clearly. What you're looking at there is from one of the Rig Expert analyzers. It's the input to the return loss bridge. And the guy who sent me this analyzer told me that he absolutely did not transmit into the input of the, he did not transmit into the input connector of the analyzer.
But he loaned it to his buddy.
You know, it's funny, I had another guy who said the same thing. I loaned it to him. So it must be warranty because I didn't cause damage. But I get all kinds of stuff like that.
It looks like it got hit with a soldering iron or something.
No, that's what happens when RF goes through a 1/4 watt resistor. It's a surface mount resistor. So that's taken with a microscope.
What are those, 0402s or something?
Yeah.
Those are tiny.
Yeah, they're very tiny. They're like smaller than a grain of rice. And,
I've seen a bridge rectifier burnt out when it got hit by lightning.
yeah, actually, the analyzer, if it gets hit with static electricity, it can also burn it like that. But it usually doesn't burn to look quite like that. It's really cold in here. Hang on, let me turn this air conditioning down. It's like, oh, somebody set it to 73. Crazy. Let's see. I love this air conditioner, but we just switched from heating to cooling mode because, you know, it's been warming up here. And I got to tell you, when it goes on into the cooling mode, it's no joke. That thing is like a freezer. I measured the temperature coming out of it, and it was, I think it was 40 degrees when I measured it last time. So it's like super cold, and it blows. I've got the vent tilted down like this, so it's coming straight down into my face right now. So it's like this frigid ice in my face. All right, so Chris is not here yet, huh? That's interesting. And I don't see anybody waiting to come in. There were more people here, and I think we lost one or two of them. Not sure where they went. But We're broadcasting. We have 2 people now watching on YouTube, and we have 9 people here. So, John, what's your background?
It's just my basement, but blurry.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
like real. I thought that was a cool background.
Oh no, it's just it's just blur turned on.
That's pretty unusual.
Very fancy.
Okay, so it is filter.
It is what?
It is a filter.
It is a filter, yeah.
Oh, is that part of this software, or is it?
Yeah, you can if you right click on the dot right in your name, you can choose virtual background, and
Yeah.
there's a blur in there.
I'm gonna try that. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that there. I never saw it. Backgrounds. There's no video. I never bothered here. What black cinnamon. What's it? This app, you know? Stapler.
Yeah, mine does. There's virtual backgrounds and video filters, and under
Yeah,
virtual
yeah.
backgrounds, I have blur.
Oh, it's in the. I don't have that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's under. I guess you can also get there through settings and background and filters. That's the other way it seems.
I'm on the background.
Yeah.
And I don't see it.
I don't know.
It's interesting. Well, here I'll go to the page.
Mike, you just clicked on with echo about a minute ago.
Let me see here.
That's what I see. Oh wait, it's blurry. Guess I gotta turn off blur.
Yeah,
Blurs everything.
Yeah, that's those are the options I see.
weird.
Anybody else hearing echo on everybody, including myself hearing an echo?
Yeah, it started when Nail unmuted.
I probably have some audio setting wrong.
Yeah. I think it was you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I had echo cancellation turned off.
Let's see.
Sounds better now.
Just letting more people in. Sorry. All right. Wow, that's a horrible filter, this one. I'm on the big screen. Ridiculous. I need to get that blur. I feel like it's a toy I need. Speaking of which, has anybody heard anything on the K4?
I think I heard they were supposed to get through Group 1 by May. That was the last I heard. I don't know how many are in Group 1, so that's kind of meaningless, but
Okay. I think I'm in Group 2 though, or Group 3. I think I might be Group 3. Because I figured I'd wait as long as I could. I didn't have any reason to pay money any sooner than that. And then I certainly didn't want to be fixing anything. I don't want to be modding my radio anymore. I'm done with those days. So once I buy it, I expect it's going to work the way I purchased it and not have to do like I did with the K3. I think I pulled the entire DSP board out and re-modded the whole DSP section. And then I did the whole band pass filter. And there was probably about 20 mods that I did on this radio over the years. The DSP being probably the most difficult of them all. As a matter of fact, they didn't even release the mod for the DSP board. They just told people to return the radios to them, and they would, or return the DSP board to them, and then they would send you a new DSP board. But I insisted on doing it myself, and Wayne or Eric, I think it was Wayne actually, gave me the schematics for the board, and I modded it all. There's lots of traces cut and new components put in. It wasn't a fun one. And Rob is here. I see you, Rob. Good to have you on Zoom. I think this might be your first or second Zoom, huh? Unmute. Push your space bar. That'll unmute you temporarily. No, didn't. Usually it does.
There we go. Okay, it's the first one with video.
It is the first with video. That's what I thought. So did you just purchase a camera?
No, actually, I got an old 15-year-old laptop going again, and the first time I loaded Zoom on it, it has Windows 7 Pro on it. It really didn't like it. So I put another hard drive in it, and I've got a Linux program on it right now, and it works fine.
Okay. Yeah, I still haven't done any Linux stuff.
It's easy. It's really easy. So
Yeah, I just figured the
There's
Windows
Art.
works as well as it does. Hey, Art, good to see you. So we were just kind of getting going. I thought Chris might be here to give us a report on what's been going on. Rob, do you know where Chris is? Have you heard anything?
I heard him last night, and other than that, I haven't heard him all day. So
Okay, so maybe he forgot he's sleeping or eating dinner, or he's
he's
tending the garden.
he's probably eating dinner, Mike.
Yeah, I should be eating dinner too. The wife is making Indian food tonight. That's my favorite. So, in any case,
That's what I had for dinner.
is it? Did you go and buy it, or did you make it?
I guess it was it was bought, I guess. It was frozen
Oh,
from
right,
Mo Please is the brand.
right. Yeah, she makes everything scratch. Tonight she's making a biryani. So, should be
Yeah, it's
pretty good.
always better from scratch.
Well, I don't know. I've tasted some pretty bad Indian food from scratch.
Well, it depends whose mother was cooking.
Exactly. Well, she's not Indian, but I'll tell you, she makes amazing German food, Indian food, Italian food. Well, actually, I think I do better on Italian, but Thai, Chinese, and Filipino. So we get our fill of different ethnic foods here in this house.
Multicultural.
Yeah, we're multicultural. So, and I see Neil is here. Good to see you.
Good evening,
Anything
gentlemen,
new,
lady.
anything new going on?
Not really. I was talking to Phil. We just put up a very acute angle inverted V off the tower a couple of days ago. And by the way, Phil, I got the necessary PL259 to SMA adapter so that I can now bring down and do the proper reading. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. But I haven't been in Morse code for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I had gotten up to 15. I think I'm back down to 12 and a half, so need to get back going again.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't forget that Art has his early morning 2-meter CW net code practice. So if you want to mess around on the 2-meter, Phil's got those boxes that he's designed, and you can put one of those together. And
I have one of the, I haven't put it back together yet, Phil. I need to do that. So that's
Yeah.
my next project.
so
I don't have, I have to buy a Wolfang, but because I don't want to go modifying my good one.
No, get yourself a Bowfang. In the long run, the $35 is a lot less than trying to make something else work when you're not sure of it. And then let me know if you want to practice on 2 meters, or sometimes even 30 meters has been great locally at times. It just depends.
Mhm.
I can send you an oscillator if you want. Mine sound like cat fights. Phil's
I
sound
have
like
the oscillator from the
violins.
class. I still have the oscillator from the class. But no, I think if we can do HF would be better.
But they work,
Yep, they do the job. Anyway, nice to be back with you guys.
yeah, I hear that Bob PGQ, he's working on his antenna system. Sounds like he just got the parts in, and he's going to start rebuilding that step IR again.
Did he get his tower fixed?
Yeah, I feel comfortable in discussing that because I know that he discussed that on the Health and Welfare Net, so it's public knowledge. as you know, his tower really folded in half, and they got in and took it down. And after several weeks, he got an email from the company, to which I really admire, saying, "We found out why it went down. It was our fault. The limit switches for the extension were set up incorrectly. So instead of having 18 inches overlap from leg to leg, they had only 6 inches in one leg, and that's what caused it to go. So it's our fault, it's our error, and they're building the new 2 sections that needs to be done. Should be getting by mid-May." And the antenna he and I went through, we did an inventory, and half of his stepper is good. So we made an inventory of what he needed. He ordered, the parts had already arrived, and we're just waiting, and probably next week, to go and rebuild the antenna. So things are moving, and so I don't know what he's going to do, because if the tower was bad, I'm glad that they're doing it, but the antenna he shouldn't have to pay for the antenna either. But I don't know. But it's moving in the right direction.
I'm happy to hear that they warranted his tower. That's a big deal.
Yeah, when you put in
No.
an email, it's our fault. I give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, well, he admitted to it, but he didn't say he was paying for it.
Well, that's a question that I think, if necessary, a lawyer would take care of with a letter.
Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
No,
that.
they seem to be doing very honorable job. So we're happy to it so far.
Yeah. Well, I also heard that they charged him the tower down, which that.
No, they billed him $2,000 to bring the tower down, and another $2,000 to bring it up. That's off the table right now. He never got billed. He got given that figure, and that was before he got the email. So I think that's out of
Okay. Okay. So then.
It looks good.
So it hasn't been. He didn't have to pay it then so far.
No. It looks good.
All right.
So
Yeah.
instead of having it on QST with some bad things to say, you may end up going on QST with some very good kudos for the company. So.
Yeah, that would be really good. And I know that the reason they asked for the money was mostly because, or from what I can gather, is because they figured the insurance company was going to be paying for it.
Yeah, well, I don't know that, but probably more. You're right.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Okay, well, that's good. Thank you for that good news. I'm happy for Bob. And of course, since all of you have gone and got stabbed in your arms, you'll be able to go over to Bob's place to enjoy that new setup again in probably October, if we do California QSO party over there, or if maybe we end up going in January of next year for the North American QSO party, which is typically what we do at Bob's place. It's a really amazing station to be able to.
Sure looks different without that tower, I'll tell you.
Oh, the backyard just doesn't look the same, huh? Yeah. Well, so they completely removed it though, right? It wasn't just a section they removed?
Yeah, no, it folded right in the middle, and actually damaged, definitely. I flew the drone there and took some picture before they took, and it literally cracked some of the pipes and damaged definitely two sections. The other 2, I think, are okay. And since he has the lift, the erection lift, they were able to just lower and cut it and take it away. So it's good.
Well, I hope on the next windstorm he keeps it up so we can test it again. See if they've figured it out and corrected their error.
Well, he and I talked the night before when they had the winds. Are you going to put your tower down? And no, I'm not. And then mine stood up, but I have definitely decided that 40 miles an hour is my limit, although it's supposed to be good for 90. 40 miles an hour, I'm going to bring it down.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. Is I used to crank. I had a 60 foot, and I'd crank it down when it got really windy. But mine was also guide, so I wasn't as worried about it.
Yeah.
And Rob, did your antenna survive the storm? I know for a while you had your wires coming down.
Well, I always take the vertical down when the winds kick up above 15 or 20 miles an hour. And the sloper just, it has never come down. It's just windproof. So At least I had
Yeah.
something up. But yeah, I always take the vertical down because that aluminum for the butternuts is horribly expensive now.
Is it?
Yeah.
You know, I have them a butternut vertical I bought in 1980, and it was always, well, it was ground mounted and it was roof mounted at some point, but then it came back ground mounted again. But it's been, 30 years in the ground and on the roof.
Well, the original one I had, I got from an estate sale several years ago, and it had been on a roof for years. So it needed to be cleaned up, and all of the joints where that plastic insulator is, those are all punched out, and so they're a little bit sloppy.
Yeah.
And I just bought another HF6 that I heard about that was for sale up in Woodland. And the guy felt bad that I gave him $75 for it. But it's
Overpaid,
one, it's one of the newer ones with the larger capacitors on it.
Oh, they have
And-
bigger capacitors? Wow, these are like 800 volt capacitors on mine.
Yeah, the big doorknob things,
Yeah.
and it also came with the ground kit, the ground radial kit.
I've never seen the ground. I've only seen the above ground one.
Well,
with
they're
the
like
twin
$90 for the kit. So,
Yeah.
so this one's still in the bag, and it came with that, and it also came with a whole bunch of spare parts and the commercial DX Engineering 10-foot 75 ohm matching section, which is horribly expensive too.
Well,
But
that came with the antenna originally. You're saying they sell that separate now?
yes, they do, and
Really?
it's good stuff. It's RG11.
You
So-
have to have that, otherwise your 20 meters won't even work.
That's right. That's right. And that's why you find a lot of people selling butternut verticals cheap, because they don't put that matching section in, and they don't work.
Oh, I had no idea. When I bought mine, it came with everything. You got the stub match, you got all the coils and doorknob capacitors.
Right.
Now, after 30 odd years of being stuck in the ground, I did have a windstorm here like 2 years ago, and it bent the antenna down, and it actually snapped the plastic insulator that sits between the base loading coil and the top section of the antenna, because it's only this high off the ground, so all that flexing is coming off of that.
Right.
It snapped that insulator, I think is what oh no, it actually, you know what it was? It wasn't the insulator that snapped. It was the 3-foot pole that has the insulator in it.
Yes.
I had
yes.
about a foot sticking out of the ground. So the
Yep.
insulator was about 1.5 feet above ground.
I lost mine like that too.
Yeah, and it snapped that metal off. So I had to buy a new ground pole with the
Right.
insulator in it. And it turns out that the new ground pole they sell, the insulator, although the right size to fit through the other tubing, the hole that lines up was not the same distance for
Yes.
the base loading coil. The inductor.
Well, the two antennas I have, one of them is the original HF6, and the newer one that I bought is slightly different. There's slightly different links on some of those tubes. But I was going to say that 12 and 17 meter conversion kit,
I have those.
you can, now you know that there's a new cycle coming, because they just jacked the price up from $75 to almost $125.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's because there's a new owner of the company. That's what's
Right.
going on, I think.
Well, DX Engineering owns it, so
Oh, do they? Okay.
yeah, they own everything. But I was going to say too that if anybody has those and they want to try to duplicate the 160 meter coil, I have 2 of those. And
I wouldn't mind trying. I don't.
no, it's really easy. It's really, there's nothing to it. It's a couple of brackets and some aluminum, some thick aluminum wire. And
You don't need another doorknob capacitor?
yeah, there's two small doorknob capacitors at the bottom, and you change the feed point.
Okay.
You have to change the feed point, but it doesn't really do anything. But I've had really good luck on 160 meters with it. So
Last I checked, well, you have a low fire angle, so it's good. Last I checked, my 80 meters wasn't functioning right. Let me see. No, it's a 2.5 to 1, so I guess it's working again. But for a long time, it wasn't functioning properly. And I couldn't get 80 meters to work. I think it might have been just, I didn't have enough moisture in the ground, and I just didn't have enough ground conductivity to get that 80 meter coil to light up properly.
I started getting some stray RF, so I threw the sprinkler out on the backyard. So I'll let it. So
yeah, I planted a cherry tree next to it, and I've been watering the cherry tree. So I think the ground with that and the rain, it's got soaked pretty good.
Yeah.
So
well, I can trick myself because I passed up a couple of HF6 verticals at some of these swap meets, for $50.
No, I wouldn't do that.
You
That's
know,
a great antenna.
it
That's
is.
the best antenna for a vertical there is, I think.
Well,
To
I've got
have a
an
true
HF,
LC coil.
yeah, I've got the two HF6s, and I have an HF2 with a
Oh,
160
yeah.
meter coil on it.
Yeah, I put that 1712 conversion kit on mine, and 17, it's super narrow. It's like maybe
Yeah, I've heard
25
that.
kilohertz, super narrow. And I don't think I get below like a 2-to-1 SWR. And then also the 12 meter, I think it worked okay. I haven't used it in so long, I don't even know.
Yeah.
What about the 160 bandwidth? How wide is that?
It's about 25 kilohertz.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's very, the 160 is 25
Yeah.
also. I think that's probably about what the 80 meter is also.
My
Maybe a little.
80 meter is pretty broad. So
I think mine might be 50 kilohertz, but
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
not terribly wide. Let me see. Even though I have a terrible SWR on it to begin with, I can just see.
My 160 flat top has about 350, 375 feet of wire in the air, 100-foot arms on it.
yeah,
I get 50 kilohertz bandwidth. So I use two tuners, the CW band on 160 and the phone band on 160, but I got 50 kilohertz under 3-to-1.
well, you put that big tuner outside, right?
Yeah, it's up in the attic now. I've got a
okay.
room in the attic, so I put that. Everything's out inside now, which is really nice for 630 and 160 and all that stuff. It's just nice to go in there, and I'm building a little remote control relay switching system for switching the contactors.
Well, I had just built my K2, and there was a 160 meter contest coming up. And even though it was only 10 watts, I figured, what the heck? And I did all right. I got out to the Midwest, on 10 watts. And
Pretty good.
I just checked this, the vertical, and I have a 3-to-1 from 3,500 to 3,683. So, and it's not properly tuned, so I don't know where the center is of it, but that's actually not bad. I've got at least, 1.8 meg. So
It's pretty efficient. That's pretty good.
yeah.
Well,
Now, I don't remember, I typically like to run it 1.5 and below.
right.
So for me, I probably would get 50 or 100 at most kilohertz is my guess.
Well, I got lucky one night because I was running the K2 at 10 watts, and there must have been an opening because in about a 10-minute period, I worked Alaska and Hawaii on 160 with only 10 watts. So
Oh, that's great.
That
Yeah.
is great. You're lucky on that.
Yeah.
So, and John, how about you, Noel? Are you getting anything on the air? Have you had any chance to? Are you breaking everything down because of the?
No, I broke everything down, and I think we're probably not moving until end of May. So unless I take my spotter pole and set up something in a park and do some QRP or something, I'm going to be off the air until the end of May.
Yeah, you need to just come over, just sit. Right
Yeah, that's true.
Because otherwise, your chops are going to get real rusty.
Yeah.
As somebody new into it, if you.
Yeah, I don't have it
load
locked
60
in deep enough to. Yeah, I agree.
So just hit me up. You know I'm here pretty much all day long, every day. So
Right on.
yeah. What about you, Phil? What's going on with you? You must have put up a new antenna or something.
Actually, Carol and I have been working on a new driver for this little tuna tin transmitter thing we did. We finalized all that. So we came up with 2 different driver options and works pretty well. Went from
Excellent.
600 milliwatts to 6.5 watts.
Wow,
With,
that's the big difference.
either 1 transistor as the driver or a 3 transistor complementary symmetry arrangement.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
actually the spectral purity is actually better. All the harmonic energy is below, it's at least 50 dB down.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Elecraft uses in the K3 2 transistors for 12 watts. I think the KX3 is a single transistor 10 watt. So I don't know what the transistor is. I haven't looked at it, but you could certainly.
Boy, on the other end of the extreme, my new KPA 1500, I'm loving it.
Hang on one sec, guys. Go ahead and speak. Don't worry. I'll be right back.
Oh, I was just saying, I sure love that new KPA 1500. Boy, they got that one nailed in.
That's a bunch of pizzazz, 1500.
Oh boy, that thing just effortless. It's just seamless and effortless and just best amplifier I've ever seen.
And that power, is that what you call QROO?
Yeah, right. It makes a difference on some of them, I'll tell you. You know, but if you've got all wire antennas, the extra power helps here and there.
When I stopped working with the ham radio 20 years ago, I had a Heathkit 220, which had the maximum power legal then, which was 2 kilowatt PEP.
Right.
Okay, so I haven't looked at the maximum power nowadays. How does that compare?
Well, it's 1500 watts output. That KPA 1500 will do 2000 watts before it kicks off. I don't run it that high, but I've run it through the test and everything, and yeah, it's 1500 watts output. And
so that's definitely higher than 2000 PEP.
Yeah, it's great.
Have
I
you
have a
had
quick,
any,
go ahead, Phil.
have you had any birds fall off the end of your antenna?
Right.
You know, I saw something in the news not too long ago. You know, these long transmission lines, the big towers you see running up and down the valley. You ever notice that you never see any birds on the wire?
That's right.
The rest of the power lines, you see birds, right?
Yeah.
You know why there's no birds? There's so much heat loss in those conductors that it burns their feet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I lived on a farm in rural Maryland, and we got a stipend check once a month from the Baltimore Gas and Electric because of the high power lines that ran over the back 10 acres.
I'll be darned.
And at night, you could see the wires glowing.
The corona? Oh no, just the heat loss.
Yeah, you could see them glowing. It was surreal. It
Wow.
was just, it was.
So they paid you for your cancer.
Well, they had to. That was the deal back when they ran those power lines, and it was my great grandfather that benefited from that. And when he passed away, the stipend check went away. That was the way it worked.
You know, with all these new electric vehicles, everybody's jumping on board. Of course, the grid's going to have to be enhanced to support that. Can you imagine what it's going to cost to shore up the grid to cover all that? It's going to be astronomical.
Yeah, people don't realize that they're really driving on a coal fueled car, you know, because that's what's feeding to charge up the batteries.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it depends on where you're at, obviously,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
an issue. And you know, the other thing that's going to happen is one of these days, they're going to start charging a mileage tax on electric vehicles because they're not getting any revenue for the roads.
Well, you still have licensing and registration.
Well, that's not the road tax. It's on the fuel that your road taxes derive from.
Well, then they'll find a way to charge you. Like
Oh,
you
they'll
said,
get their
mileage.
money. I'm not the least bit concerned.
Yeah. Well, you should just vote it in now, Phil. Go ahead and, you know what? Wasn't there just somebody introduced that into Congress this last week? They introduced a mileage tax. I think it was Swalwell or whatever.
And I don't think it was for that purpose. I can't recall.
Well, I don't know what the. I don't know that the bill was for the roads. Actually, it was. Yeah, I think it was Swalwell who introduced a mileage tax for roads. That's what it was.
There's no doubt in my mind it will be coming.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, Gavin Newsom's going to make sure that the gas is more expensive.
In California, it's only $1 a gallon more.
Yes, it's right. It's 98 cents tax per gallon. But our fuel price is still higher, not including the tax, the 98 cents tax on top of our higher fuel rate. So if we remove the tax, we would still be at 289. And if you go to Tennessee, you're going to find that same exact non-taxed gas at like $2.05. So
it's expensive in California.
Yeah, it's expensive artificially. They just decided they want to raise the taxes, and that's just how it is. So we pay more tax.
You know, in Texas, they build roads at half the cost per mile as we do in California.
It doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me when it comes to this state, to be perfectly honest. You know, we don't do anything like anybody else, and we love to pay taxes.
Well, Texas is flat, so they don't have to like build any bridges.
Have you ever been down through the valley?
In the Rio Grande Valley?
No, this valley, Sacramento Valley.
Yeah, so
It's flat.
Mostly flat, but actually it's a little hillier than Texas. It depends where in Texas, but
If you go to West Texas, you have as many hills and mountains as you want.
yeah, but nobody lives there. Everyone lives on the eastern half, you know, on the I-35 corridor.
You know, there's a lot of people in El Paso and along 10 there. Not as big cities, I grant you, but a lot of people.
El Paso's the city that sticks out. It's off the main corridor.
You know, you're thinking north-south, I'm thinking east-west.
The cost of housing in Texas is certainly a lot cheaper than it is here.
Well, when I moved from Texas here, I spent 12 years working with NASA down in Houston, Clear Lake. And I had five kids, so I had a 5-bedroom in a big house and 2,600 square feet. It took me 9 months to sell it for 125. And at that time, to put in perspective, that was 1998, I came here and I bought this house, 1,700 square feet, and I paid 150 for it. So compared to 2,600. And it's changed a lot, but the perspective is still the same. Like Phil says, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, but also, you know, it's the taxes. The taxes on the houses are much higher in Texas.
But you don't have income tax.
Yeah. So I have some friends that live in Dallas. They have like a $300,000 house, and they pay $11,000 a year for their house taxes.
Really, is it that high? I didn't realize.
But that's
like New York.
That pays for the school, the local school district, the hospital district, the city, the county, the county community college. There's like 6 or 7 taxing authorities.
Yeah,
New York on the air, so I can see this. It's worse because you're outside of California. I would never say that on the air.
Yeah, New York is also extremely high in the property tax as well. So there's different places you can go that have really high tax, but of course you'll always find a less expensive home there. What gets me is the fact that they could build the same exact house that you'll pay 700,000 for here. They could build it over there for 400,000. Just makes you wonder, you know, why is the construction so much cheaper?
Well, it's the fees and the cost of ground that really drive things
No,
out.
I'm talking about the actual cost of the construction. You know, you could build the same house for $200,000 of building versus here you're paying 450. Forget about the surveys and the fees for the city and such. I'm just talking building construction. When you
It's
look
interesting.
yeah, it's ridiculous is what it
But
is.
lucky for us, you can move wherever you want.
What? Are you kidding? I don't think so. Not according to Gavin Newsom. You can't go anywhere. As a matter of fact, he was trying to introduce an exit tax. Did you hear about that one? Yeah, he was. He was trying to make an exit tax if you moved
He
out of
would make
state.
millions.
Yeah, he probably would. But yeah, as more people were moving into Florida and Texas, he came up with this brilliant idea to do an exit tax where you'd be charged to leave the state.
Well, how about an exit tax for people coming out of San Francisco and moving to Sacramento? Did you want one of those too?
That would be nice. I could see that being helpful.
I
Yeah,
think that's
keep our house
quite a
prices.
migration.
Yeah, I think you missed it by about 5 years though. Yeah, there you
If they're moving out of San Francisco, at least let's welcome. They're the intelligent ones.
Yeah. Now, where'd you move from, Noel? You came in from somewhere else, didn't you?
Yeah, to Sacramento from Bay Area,
Yeah.
and now I'm going further east. So
I can't blame you, but at least you're going to get some property. That's
Yeah.
good. So John's going to set up two 100-foot towers with some step IRs.
yeah,
And
for starters,
well, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
eventually the rhombic will go up
right?
around the property line. But yeah, we'll get you a few 160-meter slopers. So those will come off the tower.
I
Is
need
that
my
tall
own tax
enough,
to
Neil?
pay for all the wire.
Yeah, well, you know, you'll just steal it from your neighbor's electrical,
Right.
or you could pull out all those wires coming from the solar panels.
Yeah.
Just use the wires that you've got already there. You know, it's called recycling, man.
Mhm.
You want to recycle. So
They're
does
stranded. I
anybody-
can take half of them, right? For the stranded
Yeah.
wires, I can take away half the stranded wires.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
You could actually, if you really felt like you could unwind the wire. And if you ask Erez,
Yeah.
he's got antennas that are, you know, what gauge wire is that antenna? Like 28 gauge,
26, yeah.
26. So, you know, 2 or 3 strands out of that number 2 wire coming off of the solar panels to the DC converter, and you'll be fine.
Get that and Steve's amp, and I'll be good to go.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. So, Steve, are you in the house or are you in the new shack?
You know, in the new shack. Yeah.
Can you turn your camera so we can get a look at
You know, I'll do it later. It's kind of a mess right now, but it's yeah, no, it's
Well, that's
you get
the way
a
we
little
like
bit
to see it.
of an idea.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah. There's the 7610 and KPA 1500, and a little hard to show on the
No, it's fine. We see it.
yeah. And then my work office is right back here, and door, and then this is the addition I did, you know, a couple years ago, and it's normally got the door panels on it and everything else, but it's a joy to have 200 square feet instead of 110 square feet, you know.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Tell you what, if you go to speaker view, we have a good view of your place.
Yeah, it was nice. And for those who don't know, Steve built that with his own very hands. So that was
Well done, Steve.
very well done.
Thank you. It's a joy. But you know, it's funny. I got 50 rigs. Oh, got to show you one more thing, since this really isn't the best camera. There's my bug collection right there.
Oh, there you go.
Oh
Look
my
at that.
God.
Yeah, all
Beautiful.
40 of them, you know, going from 1905 to Horace G. Martin to a 2020 Begally Intrepid. I love that Intrepid Mike.
Mhm. Yeah, I loaned one to Denal here, and he had it for a few weeks to test it.
Yeah.
It's a joy using that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty nice. Too bad they're all originals except for that Intrepid. I hate when people do that. I know one guy, he owns like 280 bugs. They're all originals. It's just like, why? At what point do you just say to yourself, okay, an original is an original. Who cares if this one is 6 months later than that one?
Yeah.
So, you know, but he's got
It's a
gray and he's got
sickness.
chrome. Yeah. Well, you know, hobby is a very odd thing, isn't it? We all have our own little niche in the hobby.
Well, it's, you know, it's interesting. I don't have shelves around this. Originally I did, you know, when I built the first thing, but you know, the walls are all open here. So I keep about 20 rigs set up, and I got about 30 stored. So I just bring them in and out, and it kind of keeps it so I don't feel like I'm closed in, you know.
Yeah, well, I am closed in my tiny little office here, but I have one desk for the radio, and then I have closets for the keys. I used to, right now, I probably got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've got 18 here in about a 2 square foot area.
Yeah.
And they're all plugged in parallel. So I can go.
What do you think about a guy that's got a dozen Tektronix scopes? There's something wrong there too, isn't there?
Oh, I've seen your bench. Yeah, I've seen that bench. You've got too many. I got my one Tektronix scope with the dual channel. I used to have this beautiful 4-channel storage scope, you know, digital triggering, digital cursors. And I kept that thing. I used it for years. And then one day I said to myself, you know what? I'm done working for a living, and I'm just going to get rid of it all. So I sold my bench for, I think I sold my workbench for like $50. I sold the oscilloscope for $50. I sold these jigs that I used for aligning stuff for probably, I think I was selling them for like $10 a jig, and some of them were like $600 and $800 each. I cleared everything. And
Fire
then
sale.
yeah, fire sale. I just was done. And then he called me and said, listen, can you just work on one thing for us? And I said, oh, you know, I really don't do that anymore. All right, listen, you don't even have to come to the studio. We'll bring it to your house. I'm like, okay, fine, bring it. So they brought me this machine to work on, and I put it on the living room floor with, you know, Craftsman screwdrivers. And I don't even remember that I had a scope. I don't know. I think I just used the television to align the thing. And it was a broadcast machine. And I said, okay, you can come pick it up. It's done. I fixed it and calibrated it up the best I could. And they came to get it. And I went to go eat lunch later in the day, and I stepped out of the house, and I had a front porch, and there were 15 machines they left on my front porch. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this some more. So I called the people that I sold everything to, and I said, listen, at least can I get the scope back? I asked my friend who I sold it to, can I get my scope? And he said, oh, yeah, I'll bring it over. A week goes by, nothing. 2 weeks go by. You know, Everett, can you bring my scope over? I really scope. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to come by today. So nothing. A month later, he finally does show up with my scope. Well, I'm sorry. He shows up, and he opens the trunk of the car, and I see the scope in the back, and it was amazing. Now, remember, I had a 4-channel cursors, you know, digital storage scope. It's like a $8,000 scope. And he opens the trunk, and here's this like 1950s green phosphorus round screen scope. And he says, you know, here you go. And I'm like, I laughed. I thought he was joking. And he's telling me that that's the scope that he took from me. And then I finally got it out of him. He was on his way over to give me the scope, and he opened the trunk to sell something to somebody else, and they saw my scope, and they're like, I'll give you $500 for that. And he said he was too tempted, and he had to sell the scope. So he sold my scope 10 minutes before he brought it over. And I said, you need to go back and get my scope. I'll give you $800 for it. Just go get it. And never got my scope back. So I had an, oh, that's right. I had the other Tektronix scope.
This isn't a bogus story, is it?
No, that's not my bogus story. That would be a good bogus story, but
That'd
it
be a
ain't
good
bogus.
bogus story.
It ain't bogus. All my jigs are
Oh,
gone. I
shucks.
had to rebuy everything. I did get my bench back. It was like a $2,000 bench. It was like a whole 9-foot by 3-foot bench with the overhang lighting and the drawers and the second tier for the scopes and stuff. And I did get that back for $150. So
You did
I paid
well.
an extra 100.
You know, you're talking about the price of those scopes. I've got a 7104, if that means anything to you.
Yep.
It's 1,000 megahertz Tektronix analog scope.
Yep.
With all the high-speed plugins. That thing was over $100,000.
Yeah. Even if you bought
Hard
it
to
now,
believe.
it would still be $12,000.
Yep.
So very expensive. Chris, do you have anything you could recap for us for, a report for last month?
Well, am I on here?
Yeah.
You're on.
Okay, I can never tell. Good evening, all. Made it. Let's see. We had 45 check-ins last month. Not bad. Five meetings on the air, and we had 14 online. That seemed to be about the average for.
What was our maximum? 52?
54, I think.
54, yeah. So we didn't quite hit that number, but we still did really well.
Yeah, we did.
I looked up the finances. Anybody who's going to yell at me to spend money, you can mute me now.
Supposed to be going to Zoom, right?
Yeah, well, it has, but don't worry, we're good. I've made sure of that.
Right.
PayPal has a lot of money, and Wells Fargo has a lot of money. So, yeah, we're doing pretty good there.
Maybe we'll get if we have field day, maybe we'll get our steak after all, huh?
I think we probably could afford it. We had all but 10 members rejoin this year, and we have, I believe, 72 members. So that's not bad. That's just enough to actually down to 62 or 64 members, down from 72, I think it was. And of those, there's 2 that aren't paying, and that's because they already pay by providing web services, one of which is Howard. He is the host, and just the registration alone cost him probably close to $75 a year. So he's making his payment for sure. But in any case, so we had a pretty good drop of money in there. We've had a few ARRL membership signups. We only make $2 a piece on them, but we've had a whole bunch with the pandemic. I don't know what's going on, but people are wanting to pay with PayPal more. And we are the only place in the entire world where you can pay for ARRL dues through PayPal. So just today, interestingly enough, today we had 2 people renew their ARRL membership through our website. One was in Michigan, the other one was down in and neither of them filled out the application. They just paid the money, which is okay because I can QRZ and see what their call sign is, which is fine. And I just assume their billing address is where they want their QST magazine to go to. So that's good. The only 2 bits of information are you renewing or are you a new member? And what's your birth date? Because ARRL will send them coupons on their birthday. So the one guy, I called him up to ask, he told me his birthday was 9/16/1936. And he says, I'm old as dirt. And I said, I don't know. I know some dirt older than you. So then not more than 5 minutes later, somebody else signed up for ARRL. And of course, they didn't fill out an application. They just paid the dues, and called him up. And I said, I just need to get 2 pieces of information and we're good to go. I just need your birthday and I need to know if you're renewing or you're a new member. And he says, oh no, I'm just renewing. I said, okay, do you want to give your birth date? You don't have to, it's just for the coupons. He says, yeah, my birthday is 7/16, same day, 1929. And I was like, okay. And then he said to me, I tried last night to do the sign up for for 3 years, but I couldn't get it. He couldn't figure out how to set up for 3 years. So I just went ahead and did one. And I said, well, I can send you a PayPal invoice if you want for the full 3 years. He says, no, I think we're good for now. And of course, in the back of my
We
mind.
may not be here in 3 years.
Yeah.
He's an optimist.
He's an
Yeah,
optimist,
yeah.
right? So he really knows how to make the best of it. So
3 years could be life membership for him.
that's right. So I thought it was kind of interesting, though, that the first guy was 1936 and he thought he was old. And then here we come with
36,
1929.
not that old.
Yeah, it's only like what, 2 years, 2 years older than you. So,
True.
so anyhow, we make some money there. We make $2 per sign up, which isn't a giant amount. Of course, we had the CW class that I taught by Zoom, and there's a little bit of leftover money. I get a dealer price on the keys, which normally would cost $60 to deliver to someone's door if you bought it straight out of MFJ direct. But I get enough where I think I put like $5 a student into the general fund. So we had 22 or 26 students sign up. So, that adds up pretty fast, and been doing that for 7 years now, or 6 years. So you're looking at hundreds of dollars. Actually, first started, I was making the oscillators and building the keys myself. And I think the total cost was $23 for the key and oscillator. And I think I was charging $40 for the class at the time. So and we were putting in 22 to 26 students per class twice a year. So, that was, we're putting in a few $100s into the kitty for the last probably 5 years. It was about 2 years ago. I switched over to the MFJ combo oscillator key. So the club's been pushing in hundreds of dollars from that CW class from the previous classes. And then, like I said, about $5 per person on the new one. So it adds up though. When you're, 40 people, that's still $200 a year into the club funds. And I don't take anything out because of course I do it for the fact that I want people to learn code. So anyhow, let's see, who haven't I? Carol, we haven't talked to you. I saw you on the 2 meter, but I figured I'd ask you what's going on. I saw you unmute, but we don't hear you. Turn up your mic game. That's right, we'll wait.
Okay, I think, how about now?
You got
Yep,
it.
works.
Yeah, I just picked the microphone. That's what I did. Yeah, I was just, as Phil was saying, we were working on getting a little more power output out of the Tuna TNS. Once you go over 5.0 watts, you're no longer QRP, Phil. So I don't know.
Technically, that's true.
That disqualifies us from.
Well, just feed it with 12 volts. It's 5.0.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, I was wondering if you had one of the Phil, if you had one of these little test boards. This is a VNA test board that I picked up on Amazon. It was, I don't know, about $12 or so. And it's
Got
got
provisions for SMAs on there?
Yeah, it's got 3 spots for SMAs. It comes with the SMA jacks that I have to solder on. And then here in the center, all of these, all of those holes there, there's supposed to be some female header sockets to go in there.
Yep.
So you can plug in things like crystals, capacitors, resistors, and everything, and make little networks and test it out.
It's pretty cute. It was on Amazon, you said?
Yeah, I found this on Amazon. Since I already was sending another order for something else on Amazon, I just thought I'd throw it in there. And I'm going to put the thing together. I have a link to some more information about this if anybody's interested. It's just
I've built so many little test jigs that way, and every time I make one, I drag out my X-Acto knife to cut the traces and all the
Yeah.
rest of that nonsense. That looks a lot better.
Yeah, since the pain in the neck, of course, is the PC board,
How'd you find it?
Well,
Something about VNA or?
yeah, I was doing a little searching online, and this popped up. I know your VNWA or VWNA VR kits also sells one.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
little
been
bit
around
more.
a while.
Yeah, theirs is a little bit more expensive. This is cheaper. It's a Chinese knockoff. So
You gotta love China.
yeah, that's. I'm sorry. Probably it even works with the Rig Expert there, Mike. I'm sorry.
It does actually. The Antscope software has been rewritten so that it'll accommodate a VNA as well.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to put the link for this in the chat if anybody wants to look it up.
Okay.
A lot of people here have those nano VNAs. That's
Yeah, I even have a nano VNA. I've only used it a few times, but for the price, it's worth trying to have.
Mike, what's the low frequency end of the nano VNA? How low does it go?
I think it's about 50 kilohertz.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, well, it's
Nice.
supposed to be, but it starts losing accuracy under 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good for 630 meters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
at
get
least.
630
2200 meter.
Yeah, or 2200 too. Yeah.
You know, actually, people use that VNWA down into the audio spectrum. It's surprising what you can do with that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some good inexpensive products out there. I mean, it does have its limitations to accuracy when you compare it with something that's a little more known accurate, but it gives you a pretty decent reading, especially if you're just looking for course type readings. I always tell people, if you're good with a 1.1 versus a 1.01, then the nano VNA is perfectly fine. Operates just as well.
You know, all of those antenna analyzers are pretty much the same thing. It's just how convenient they are to use. You know, the Rig Expert stuff is pretty user friendly.
Yeah.
As you get into more features and more utility, they become much more complex, more difficult to use.
Well, I don't believe the nano VNA has a return loss bridge in it, so you have to calibrate with every measurement.
Right, but it's got 5 memories, so you do a calibration, and you just select that particular memory.
Right, so long as you're on the same piece of coax.
Well, most people aren't smart enough to figure that out, Mike.
Right.
Most people think that whatever that machine tells them is the way that it is, and you can preach.
Well, listen,
heaven, they won't get it.
I had a CB radio operator. He bought an AA35. I sent it to him. I calibrated return loss bridge before it went out to him, and I had it to 1% accuracy. And I sent the thing to the guy, and he put it on his antenna, and he said that my analyzer was not accurate because he compared it with his Radio Shack and his MFJ, and they both said that the SWR was lower than my antenna analyzer, so he sent it back because it.
So did you send him a dunce cap?
Well, I wish I could, but what can you do? So yeah, he returned the analyzer saying it was a defective analyzer. And of course, the first thing I figured was he transmitted into it. He went to a truck stop or something and tested his antenna, and 20 other people around him in their rigs all transmitting on channel 19 or whatever, and he burned it out. So when he sent it back, first thing I did was threw it on the bench to make sure it wasn't burned up. And sure enough, 1.01 to 1 SWR.
That's pretty
Perfect
close.
SWR. Yeah.
Hey.
I mean,
Right.
it's ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with that analyzer. But so now the guy's going around with a 1.8 to 1 antenna, thinking it's a 1.01.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That'll work fine.
Makes them happy. Okay.
Yeah, well, it cost me about $60, but it's okay.
Yeah. The cost of this kit, by the way, was only $9.99. So it's only $10 and you get a lot of stuff. You get this card,
That sounds like a Walmart deal.
you get
Yeah.
6 of the female SMA
SMA,
connectors
yeah.
here. And then you've got all of the,
Pin sockets.
the pin sockets that go in there.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
that's nice.
And there's a
Very
couple
nice.
of little surface mount 50 ohm resistors as well.
Oh, good. So there you go. I should sell those as open load short tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem is that's all. I don't think, have you got an analyzer that's SMA?
Well, the Nano VNA.
No, Mike was talking about selling
He has
them.
one too, it says.
Yours are all SO239s, aren't they?
N connector and SO239.
Yeah,
Anything over 200 megahertz has N connector, as it should.
yeah.
We do have there is an SMA version, but it's not for, and it's a spectrum analyzer actually. I can tell you though, you'll never see one of these unless you're super lucky. But this particular one here, this analyzer is, if I can get it. This analyzer is a spectrum analyzer, watt meter, and SWR meter. And this has dual SMA on the top. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, and it
Is that $59.95?
actually it's about $300. And this one
not
is
bad.
good up to 2.8 gigahertz, I believe.
Is that like a ghost detector?
Yeah, yeah, like a Geiger counter. Yeah, so you can use that one up through the Wi-Fi band, the Zigbee, Wi-Fi, and ISM stuff. So, but you'll never see one of those. We've got another one.
I just want to take a quick break in here because I'm going to have to leave here in just a few minutes. I just received today from Amazon. I was preparing to work with the Nano VNA, and I had the problem with the SMA male female SO239. So I just got a package of 4 items, and I have all 4 combinations of male to female, female to male between the SMA and the UHF
Yeah.
plugs.
Definitely calibrate those out, because I can almost guarantee you that those adapters are not going to be 50 ohm adapters.
Okay,
So-
well, it's just the, okay, I'll have to take a look at it, but I got it to do the calibration as Phil indicated, just for the coax before we attach the antenna.
Right.
Okay? It's just the adapters for the plugs.
No, I understand. You need to calibrate those out, otherwise your
We shall do
readings
that.
will all be inaccurate. So let me ask everybody, does anybody have a bogus story that they want to read? Do we have any at all? Good, Steve.
Steve's
Thank you.
got his hand up.
Yes, he does.
Go,
John has his
Steve.
hand up. I'd want to make sure that we get those in, and we have about 40 minutes. So mine is, I'm always winded, so mine will be somewhat-ish long.
Did John make it?
John didn't make it. He's traveling right
I
now.
know he's traveling. Yeah, he called me the other day. That's how I know.
Yeah, he said he was going to try to phone in, but it's
Never.
it's past 8 o'clock, so he's probably in bed.
Oh,
But it's too bad that Bob's not here because in April QST, they had a really nice idea for a fold over tower.
Yeah, I saw that.
oh, heard about that.
There is a disclaimer though.
I bet
I hope he
somebody's
can
in their backyard building one as we speak.
I hope we can share with you guys some of the pictures that we took of his tower with a float over. It was incredible.
Oh, I'm
Before I
sure.
leave here, very quickly before you start the thing,
Yeah.
the reason I'm leaving is because if anybody's interested, there will be an International Space Station passage overhead today at 9:01, and it's going to be from the northwest to the northeast and about 41 degrees elevation. That's one thing I want to do to see if I can photograph it going by. So
Okay. All right.
that's it.
Make sure you tell them to smile.
Oh, yeah. Got a smile.
And better SSTV pictures, you know.
Mike, do you have a scope
Their
that you
handout
can use to
wave,
see that?
right?
Mike, do you have a telescope that you could pull out to see that?
Yeah, I could, but it actually moves moves too fast that it doesn't really make any sense. The best thing to do is a moderately strong binoculars.
Yep.
Unless you're really, really good at tracking with a scope at a relatively low magnification. And then, of course, would depend on what kind of mount you have as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow your standard equatorial path.
I just got a fresh app for the iPad that and a tripod that I want to try, and so you can take time lapse or if there's a setting special for the ISS. So we're gonna give it a try. If it's any good, I'll put it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know because we
Yeah,
can
good
also
luck.
post it on our website. Excellent. Well, good. Enjoy that. I've seen pictures, but I've never tried it myself. So thank you for the info, and we'll probably be adjourned.
Have you ever seen Venus on sky? It's
I've
about
seen it.
twice as bright. You can't miss
Right.
it.
Okay. All right. Well, it's kind of bright here in the city, so it's hard to see anything, to be honest. But since it's as low as it is, maybe it'll be visible to see. All right. So does anybody want to, Steve, you want to go first with your bogus story?
Be happy to. It's about a page and a half long.
That's fine. And let me do this. I'm going to pin you so that you can go full screen. All right.
Okay. Great. Anyway, this is about they're talking about you guys talking about electric cars a while ago, and those weren't the first electric cars in this country. They've been around 100 years ago, basically, and this is about the Houdina radio-controlled electric car, like Houdini, only it's Houdina. And the Houdina Radio Control Company was a radio equipment firm that was founded by Francis P. Houdina, an electrical engineer in the U.S. Army. Francis P. Houdina was a fictitious name created by one of two young men from Pakana, Wisconsin, that built the radio-driven Chandler from Aiken Motor Company. They also created the false representation of being in the Army. Francis P. Houdina developed a radio-operated automobile. He equipped a 1926 Chandler with a transmitting antenna on the roof, or an antenna on the roof, and operated from a second car that followed it with a transmitter. The car following had a radio operator in it, operating a 1925 Vibraplex original Bug. This operator had to be seasoned and fast on the Bug, as every operation of the car being controlled from the turning, slowing down, speeding up, everything else required speed, accuracy, and agility. The speed of the CW being sent roughly equated the speed of the traveling automobile. As an example, 25 words per minute was used for traveling at 25 miles per hour, and 35 words per minute was being used for traveling at 35 miles per hour. You can see these ads in QST in 2526, the Houdina Company and Vibraplex. The radio signals operated small electric motors that directed every movement of the car. It was unbelievable to see. In 1925, he publicly demonstrated his radio-controlled driverless car called the American Wonder in New York City streets, traveling up Broadway and down Fifth Avenue through thick traffic. People were blown away by seeing it. Aiken Motor, a distributor of cars in Milwaukee and surrounding territory, used Houdina's invention under the name Phantom Auto and demonstrated it in December 1926 in the streets of Milwaukee. It was demonstrated again in June 1932 in Fredericksburg, Wisconsin, as a feature attraction of Bigger Bargain Day, in which most of the merchants of the city were participating. Actually, the whole town came out of Milwaukee to see this driverless car with a car behind it and a guy sending fast CW to control this car. It was unbelievable. For this show in 1932, the car was going to be quite a bit faster, running around the rural streets of Milwaukee. So for this show, champion telegrapher Theodore McElroy was recruited for the control car. This demonstration demanded really high-speed bug sending, as the car would be traveling at speeds up to 60 miles an hour in the rural areas, 60 words per minute. For this type of high-speed sending, McElroy designed the Mac Bug, which suited exactly to his piston style. the whole city seemed to come out to see the demonstration of this autonomous car. Theodore McElroy, who won the World Telegraph Championship in 1933, had an unfortunate incident while following the radio-controlled car in Milwaukee. He was sending so fast at one point that his weights, his bug weights, loosened up and flew off the bug, hitting the driver of his car in front of him. He was in the back seat, almost crashing McElroy's car. They were so distracted by the flying weights that the radio-controlled car went out of control and up over an embankment at 70 miles an hour, or they were following, landing on its top, totaling that car, that control car. McElroy's car barely stopped behind the autonomous car. Fortunately, no one in the controlling car was injured. McElroy, being Irish, was accused of having a little too much whiskey before the demonstration and being negligent and having his bug fully tightened. And that was the cause of the speed weights flying off the bug. This spelled the end of the Houdina electric radio-controlled car, but Theodore McElroy would become infamous as the man no one ever topped as the world's champion telegrapher at 73 words a minute. One more note to this. An interesting side note to the Houdina company and Harry Houdini. In July 1925, while taking a break from some radio-controlled car tests in Manhattan, New York City, Francis Houdina, Horace G. Martin, and Theodore McElroy were in the offices of the Houdina company taking a break from some autonomous electric car tests. During this break, in barged a very angry Harry Houdini. Houdini threw furniture and things and broke a chandelier in the office and just made a mess of everything. He was furious. He accused the company of using his name unlawfully. Ironically, indeed, since Houdini himself had, quote, borrowed that name from the famed French magician, Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin. Afterwards, Francis P. Houdina said that there have never been any intention on his part to capitalize on the name of Houdini. A summons for disorderly conduct and intent to create bodily harm was issued against Houdini, but the charges were dropped because George Young, his manager, failed to appear in court. So that's my story of CW, electric cars, and excitement in the mid-1920s, 100 years ago.
I was
Very
waiting
good.
for the punchline.
Very good. It's amazing. Only question I have, Steve, since you were there when that was going on, how did he turn the car? I see how the speed increased, but how did the car turn?
Very, very interesting. They had a whole thing set up for it, and they each, the electric car had the magnetic, the magnetic
like a
motors on each
neodymium magnet. I see.
Yeah, so he had actually CW symbols and letters and sequences and everything to turn left, to turn right, speed up, speed down, and it had to be done fast because if they were doing 60 miles an hour,
sure,
he was doing 60 words per minute.
Yeah, you can miss the off ramp.
That's it. And they darn near killed people in Manhattan and Milwaukee and environs, and finally the cars all crashed and came to an end. But Ted McElroy lived on to a great life in CW.
So the moral of the story is keep your code slow and tighten your weights.
Those weights were deadly. They were flying, I tell you. Two of them. Yeah.
It's incredible. And who would have thought? Because, it was only near 100 years later that the auto driving car would come around.
That's right.
But luckily, they are able to send the CW from an internal computer. So
that's right. And it's very true. Look at the 1925, 1926 Vibraplex ads in QST. They said that they're the choice of the Houdina radio autonomous car company.
Right. Now, does this have anything to do with Houdini's death and one of those tables flying and hitting his kidney, or what was it, his spleen?
Yeah, that could have been it. That fight they had at the end there. And I think Ted McElroy was a little boozed up also that day.
Right.
He was letting it swing. So
yeah, I know it's possible he was going to do his show and then that kid punched him right where the table hit him, and who knows? That could have definitely been the end of Houdini.
That's right.
Amazing. History is an amazing thing.
It is, and to have Horace G. Martin there in New York City also, he's another one of my heroes.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's some telegraphy history there. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah.
All right, I'll go next. And of course, mine is an ode to the pandemic because, you know, how could we forget the pandemic over this year-long nightmare? So this is really how the pandemic began. By order of the governor of California, we've all been told to shelter in place in our homes for over a year now. Many of us question why this happened or how the whole pandemic even began. For years now, the United States military has discussed military communications on the battlefield. For decades, in the deserts of the Middle East, Army units trying to communicate over the sandy dunes have found serious issues that have hindered their ability to send signals back and forth, providing important missile guidance and troop locations. Many times, the satellite communication systems have been disrupted by enemy jamming stations. So, knowing that CW signals via ground wave are difficult to interrupt, unlike digital and sideband signals, of course, the US military revisited the idea of reinstating Morse code transmissions between ground units as a way to combat jamming. Unfortunately, the international Morse code has been discontinued now, both in the military boot camps and in the civilian ham radio community here for 10 years. So, unable to immediately enlist new troops with the proper CW experience and an age under 75 years old, of course, they were forced to come up with an idea on how they could achieve the goal. Well, all of the countries of the United Nations quickly convened to discuss this matter. It was finally decided that if there was a way to keep people at home for an extended time, well, they would consider learning new hobbies. One of those being ham radio, of course, and the use of Morse code. So the thought was the UN was, with nothing else to do, those under 40 years old would begin considering learning classic skills like ham radio and CW. This is when the UN made their critical decision, the decision to announce a new virus, one that hundreds of millions around the world didn't know they had, but tested positive for. Of course, they knew that some people would have to become ill, so they quickly hatched a plan to diagnose anyone with the common flu as having this new virus. Another part of the plan was paying hospitals $13,000 PPP bonuses for every case they diagnosed as having this new virus. Knowing losses from cases of pneumonia would be greatest in the elderly, it was looking like a perfect plan. After 3 months of the United States ordering its citizens to lock down and shelter in place, they found that the plan wasn't working quite as expected. Instead, younger people began gardening and baking bread from scratch. The government had to do something to move younger people towards learning code so they can enlist their skilled operators. In a continued effort to do this, southern states where ham radio is more prevalent were put on a more serious lockdown where they could no longer eat out or go out or during the daytime, and northern areas like New York and Michigan were told to stay away from their neighbors and families at all times. Sadly, after a year passed, many of the
Somebody got frozen, looks like.
Must have been a brain freeze.
Slurpee.
Get you keyed over.
Well, the government just caught him, sharing classified information.
Oh,
Yeah, I get to shut them off. Ooh.
The fake news censor.
you're muted.
You're muted, Mike.
Thank you. Isn't it funny how when you talk about the pandemic, all of a sudden you get censored? So in any case, as I was saying, the method of CW, of course, will now be added to the military's combat field of operations as the new communications, with, of course, the exception of all the under 40 who will just be sending their Facebook messages across the battlefield. So
Imagine.
yeah, can you imagine? You know, the biggest problem really was the fact that they would recruit the ham radio operators, but unfortunately, they couldn't find very many under the age of 75 to send Morse code.
Yeah, right.
So Yeah, they had to figure out a way to get some younger people in. But if you know anybody who's under 30 and you know that they've been at home for the pandemic, then you're certain to also know that they're all baking their own home scratch bread. So it didn't quite work out quite like the military had expected. So perhaps other countries are still under lockdown so that they can acquire their own radio operators. We don't know.
You guys have some imagination. That was quite well put together.
Thank you. And now let's hear from John.
All right. So this was an ARL bulletin I received at right around an hour before this current meeting. In an attempt to capitalize on the recent popularity of cryptocurrencies, the Amateur Radio Relay League has created Ditcoin. In coordination, the FCC has modified Part 97 to allow cryptography, quote, to facilitate payments and provide liquidity, end quote. The move has been hailed by Henry Block, N6 BTC, as evidence of amateur radio's continued service to the public. Ditcoin uses a proof-of-work consensus method whereby transactions are confirmed by volunteer CW operators called coin-ops. Coin-ops are sent a randomized set of countries and must prove they worked each via QSL cards. While there are no speed requirements for coin-ops, a minimum of 10 words per minute is suggested to ensure the multiple 256-digit values are sent in a timely fashion. While still in its infancy, a petition is already in review at the FCC to provide additional spectrum to facilitate the increasing transaction load. At the moment, Ditcoin slightly lags other cryptocurrencies with respect to transaction time. While many Ditcoin transactions are confirmed in as little as 2 weeks, some can take a year or more. Currently, the new coin is primarily used in the ham community, with its most popular uses being swap meets and serving as payment of FCC amateur licensing fees. So that was it. That's the latest news from
Very well done.
Very good, very good.
Not bad at all.
Bitcoin.
I was going to mention, Mike, you know, it's interesting that the FCC reinstituted the commercial telegraph operator's license 5 or 6 years ago. I think there's about 18,000 of them that have gotten it. I got mine 5 years ago in 2015, but it's the old first class telegraph operator's license. And I wanted that license years ago, and I've got it now, and it just sits in the drawer. And I wonder why they reinstituted it. Maybe they do want the military to have it someday.
Where did you take your
Still
license?
some maritime use?
Yeah, maritime use, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a friend of mine was in the Coast Guard, and he was a radio operator.
Mm-hmm.
And he said there was an awful lot of traffic. Of course, he's been out of the Coast Guard now for probably 25 years. But
Yeah, they still teach it for Coast Guard, and of course there's signaling that goes on. But about a year and a half ago, Carol actually brought in a news article that had mentioned that the military was discussing bringing Morse code back to the battlefield. Actually, you know what? It was FJF. What's her name? The one you used to pick up, Rob. What's Angie? Angie brought in an article that said that Morse code was going to be reinstated on the battlefield because of exactly that reason. It would be unjammable because, you know, they could shoot a carrier across the battlefield and interrupt it.
Yeah, I took it from a commercial column, I guess it is, you know, what like the hams have it. There was a commercial guy here, Dick Bass is his name. He gives the commercial license there. So took it from him at his house.
Really? Where was this? What city was that in?
In Portland, Milwaukee.
Excellent.
Oh, really? Dick Bass. Was that the same guy that did the Hampshire book years ago?
It might have been W7 DVR or something like that. I think that's it or something. Been a ham forever. And but yeah, it was pretty neat. I'm kind of surprised about the whole thing. They used the old exam. You know,
really?
You go back to the 1950 exam, the 1940 exam.
They had 22 words a minute.
Yeah, well, you can. I actually used
15 words a minute.
You can use your extra. I think it might be 25, or you can use your extra or whatever. But your extra counts. If you have a CW extra, it counts as a as taken.
That's right. You
One of
you
the
have that
elements.
already. So yeah.
Did
I
they,
have a. Oh, go on.
did they have you hand draw schematic diagrams too?
They didn't do that. No, they didn't. But it was everything else on the test. It literally one of those old Nielsen license manuals. I mean, I used one from the 70s, but it was absolutely tube theory, 813s, maritime transmitters,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's
Wow.
pretty neat.
Now that's a
Yeah.
ham station.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's a real ham tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So normally what we would do is we'd have a blind vote for the winner of the contest for the year. And if you're not already aware, there is a little trophy that, Carol, you had a picture of it up as your background. You want to throw that up as an image so that people can see it?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll do that.
So typically we would blind vote. Now there's two ways we could do it. We could either have everybody who was here go into the chat and just put a name in. So that's the award after it's been modified by Carol. And
Why don't we just raise our hands?
yeah, I mean, you could do that. I mean, it's easy just to click on the chat because then I have an official vote. Or you can email if you feel like we need to keep it anonymous like we usually do. So
I won't be hurt if nobody votes for me.
okay, well
Yeah,
then,
likewise.
okay, so I'll tell you what, just open your chat window. If you go to the bottom of the screen, just says chat. And then what you do is where it says type a message here, just type in who you would like to nominate for the winner of the trophy. So I'll put my vote in. There it is. And then we are missing one vote because Andrew just disconnected, and we'll get back to Andrew and ask him, unless it's an obvious winner that we have here. So, all right. Oh, Phil, there we go. I was gonna say, I thought Art never said goodbye, but I guess he did head out. So, Mike and John. And this year, everybody knows who everybody's name is because it's stuck to their face here in the box. So, not bad. All great stories, by the way. So
Yeah.
nobody should feel like they didn't have a good vote or a good story.
I was going to give mine, but I'm not going to do it now.
So yes, you can. Go ahead. You could be the tiebreaker, Chris.
You don't want to hear. You already heard this. But I'll give it to you anyway.
Oh, yeah, go on. I'm sorry. We can vote again. We'll vote again. I didn't realize. I'm sorry, Chris, because I asked if
I didn't wave my hand.
Yeah, you did. So we'll go ahead, Chris. Let's hear you.
All right. This is the new improved DB spray.
Oh boy, new improved.
Since the last story on this product 3 years ago, new discoveries and breakthroughs have occurred. You may recall Gain Spray, or DB spray, was developed by the CIA and other government agencies to improve the performance of stealth and small HF antennas. Wait a minute. I got a problem here. Okay, code named, let's see, Spilogale, yes. An offshoot of trinitrofenomethylnitramine technology. I got a problem with my display here. This could be a boon for the QRP operator, HOA challenge, or those who don't wish to buy an expensive amplifier. It is believed the idea is to concentrate the electromagnetic field around the surface area of the conductor. You may also recall that a single coat of DB spray on to an antenna element would yield a gain of 1.5 dB. Well, the new improved version now exhibits twice that. Yes, 3 dB. With the old formula, it was found that 6 coats that are 9 dB, the element would go into self-oscillation and possibly destroy itself and catch nearby objects on fire. It was also found that additional coats will begin to approach fusion, which could be a new source of nuclear energy. It has been shown that its effect is analogous to thermal runaway, which was like in the old days of uranium point contact transistors. To negate this effect, a special ingredient known as anti-log was developed to achieve the stability. This has also seemed to resolve the issue of called the plastic explosive effect when used on THNN coated wire, where nearby airport metal detectors were going off. So get yours now while supplies last. Supplies are limited, so 1 per household. Enjoy.
So it's an extra 3 dB then.
Extra 3 dB.
Wow, how many dB was the first one?
1.5.
1.5.
Weren't you listening?
Yeah, now
It
it's
was.
3.
Oh, that's right. It was equal to a dipole, wasn't it?
Right. So
That's
now it's
right.
improved on itself.
Absolutely
is it-
amazing.
Is
Now
it
you're not limited by
4.5?
6 dB by 6 coats anymore now.
So you double your power.
You double the power.
That is incredible.
And you're not limited to 6 coats either. You remember? They're not going to go away on you now.
Right. Now
It's
listen,
anti-log.
I'm going to
Yeah,
write
it's-
down the phone number. I missed the phone number. What was it again?
1-800 DB spray. DBSPARY. Yeah, 1-800 DB spray.
Thank you.
444-5555.
That's right.
All right. Excellent. Well,
I'm
thank
gonna
you.
sell my amplifier.
How much is a can?
440. I didn't give a prize. You have to call for detail.
Oh, do you accept
yeah.
Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, right.
If
You
you
accept
buy in the
Bitcoin?
next 10 minutes, you get a second one for free.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Better hurry up.
If
Fine.
you
So-
if you
So Chris,
spray
I
it
heard
on,
a rumor. I heard a rumor, Chris, that it was slicker than the original stuff, so it would be faster ejection of the radio signal.
higher velocity factor.
Oh, yeah. That would make it.
Velocity factor, right?
What if anybody
Wow.
tried that, putting it in coax between the insulator, the dielectric?
Helps
Right.
latency for SDR radios too.
Yeah.
That's
the
pretty
radio.
good.
Yeah.
So it does work with the new stuff. That's pretty good. That's an excellent product. I'm glad that we got the update on that. If anybody wants to change their vote, nobody's going to be angry. Nobody's going to be upset. If you want to add Chris in there, please, by all means, you're welcome to send that out into the chat room, and we'll recalculate. I haven't even calculated, so we will add, if we see Chris's name in there, we'll just add that instead.
You
So
got your calculator set up into.
I have my
13.
calculator set up. I've even sent a text to Andrew to ask Andrew to let me know if he had a vote in there. So I will say we'll give it another 10 seconds here because everybody who's here knows how to use a button. Neil's chair, I'm speaking to you. If you want to reach forward and make a change, please, by all means, you're welcome to. So did everybody get a chance to vote?
Yes, indeed.
Anybody feel repressed or like we are keeping you from doing anything you want?
Is there any risk of retaliation from the losers?
Well, I
Wait
might
and
keep my
see.
bug weights. I might keep my bug weights loose.
Yeah, keep
Yeah,
your bug
watch
weights.
out.
Yeah. The way to go flying off at 60 miles an hour.
Right.
All right, you're no Mick Elroy, so I'm not worried.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. So I've got so far 1, 2, Steve, 1, John, 1 more Steve. That's 3 on Steve, 1 on me, and another on John. And oh no. Let me double check because I'm seeing, oh, what's your vote, Chris?
I'll send it to you an email.
You want to send it in an email?
Yeah, I can do it right now.
Okay, you send it in an email. And
I don't know,
check
here.
because
Yeah,
it's
secret vote.
looking like, you tell me when you've sent the email. I'm going to double check. Everybody can look as well. 1, 2, 2, 1, John, 3 for there, 1 for me. Just double checking. 1 more for John. Another for John. We don't have anybody double voting, do we? Let me just make sure that I don't see the name of somebody twice. Nope, it looks good. So, yep. So, okay, I'm waiting on Chris's vote because it's going to matter. I'm hearing an awfully long typing on that email.
Okay, here it is.
All right, so 1 second here, I'll reach to the desk behind me.
It's a great effect, Mike. You look like the headless man.
I know.
It's an improvement.
Thanks. Chris, which account did you send it to?
Is that the HARP antenna in Alaska?
is,
Look,
yeah.
yeah. So it looks like.
There we go. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so if you look at the on-screen counts, you should all confirm that we have 3 Steve, 2 Mike, 3 John, and I have a vote in as a tiebreaker from Chris for John. So our new winner for this year is John with his Ditcoin. Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. So
It was a
yeah.
close call, though.
It was a very close call, absolutely. So John UBK has the trophy now because he was last year's winner, and
You
we'll
may not
get
see him
that.
for 2 months now.
He'll be around real soon, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, just kidding.
So the way it works, John, is the trophy goes to the winner for 1 year. Next year, when we have this contest again, the winner will receive the trophy. But when he receives the trophy, it will be adorned with 1 item that you add to it.
All right.
Yeah.
So 1 year, we had, let's see, the first year John won, he put a, I think he put a Yagi. You put a Yagi.
No, the tuna can.
Oh, it was just the can? Okay. So the first year was the
And I had
can.
a key on it, right?
I don't remember if the antenna was on there yet. I think he made it with a tri-band antenna, which was a Yagi and the ham can. And then the next year I won, I put a sloper antenna and a beacon. And then the next year, Charles won, and he put on the G.I. Joe Morse key and
he did
radio
that, yeah.
set.
The earphone thing, yeah.
And then the next year, I think we skipped, and the year after that, I think
Carol
might have been Carol. Yeah, Carol. And Carol added a transmitter into it.
Yeah.
An actual transmitter. So there is a little
and it
manual.
worked.
It works, and there is a little manual that goes with the award. And then the next year, John won, and we haven't seen what he's done.
No, I won it. I won it. Did John won it?
Oh, that's right. Were you DB spray for that one?
Yeah, I won that one. Yeah.
Did you put something on it?
I did.
What did you put on?
I put a bird on it.
A what?
A bird.
Oh, did you? You put a bird on the tower?
Very top of the tower. You gotta have a bird on your tower, right?
Sure. And then John won, and then I think John has added some.
He put the
antennas.
ground plane and stuff on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hear what he did to it, but something with antennas, I'm sure.
Now we don't know what he did this year because we haven't seen it yet.
Oh, right. So we'll see what it is. I thought you knew it was some sort of ground plane or something. But my guess is it's antenna work because John loves his antennas. I think he put on a delta loop like Carol has, a square delta loop.
Okay.
So
He said he put the whole thing on a wooden board to give it a larger yard for more antennas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Got to improve the real estate.
Okay. So yeah, I got a little real estate, and I think he did mention that he put a loop up. So I think he put
right.
a 160-meter loop.
Yeah,
So
just
John, you'll have 1 year to adorn it with any type of adornment you like, and you have plenty of time to think about it. So
yeah,
what
I got to start planning.
Yeah,
start
so
planning.
we'll-
Yeah.
Now, if you could, if you typed up your story, which I assume you did,
I did.
can you email it to me?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm going to publish it to the web.
All right.
And
Yeah, you're going to be famous now. With all,
I know.
You're gonna
I'm going to start getting
Right.
the calls and emails. They're just.
Yeah,
I'll be ready. Yeah.
Well, it's
I'm on
not
the
quite.
video.
Don't forget to copyright it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was the ARL's copyright. I mean,
we copyright all of it when it goes to the web. So if anybody tries to take it off the web, they're gonna they'll be sued by us. I think we have a $50,000.
that's what the money in the PayPal's for, right?
Yeah.
That's the PayPal money,
That's
right?
the PayPal right now.
That
We don't
way
have
they
an
can-
attorney, but we're
No, we don't need an
we don't
attorney
need no
because
single
we all
attorney.
because we all think we know what we're doing.
That's right.
So-
Exactly. That's why we're amateurs.
Gentlemen, I
Right.
gotta go. Have a great evening. It was fun.
Thank you,
Right.
Phil. And next year we can't wait to hear your story.
I bet with Phil's knowledge, everybody could come up with a good story. Yeah.
Right.
I am
So-
full of BS, that's for certain. Take care, gentlemen.
All right. Good night, Phil.
Good night, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that harp is the background.
Yeah.
That-
This is a real QSL card from Harp
Oh, it is.
that I received. There, see, it's got my call sign on there. And this was from a test that they did on 7.4 megahertz. They were directing their signal towards the moon back in 2008. And I made a recording of their signal and also the echoes off the moon on 7.4 megahertz.
Very
was a-
interesting.
Yeah,
Nice.
HF moon bounce. So they did send me this QSL card
Nice.
in
That's cool.
acknowledgement. Yes.
That's great that they did that. Hey, John, I think what happened was when we got booted, I know it never sounds good the second time, but for the people online, they're going to want to hear a story. And I think what happened is when the government shut me down for talking about the pandemic, the EMIC Day or EMIC Pay, it shut down the broadcast to YouTube, so it won't be on YouTube. Do you mind reading your story real quick one more time?
Sure.
It's just a bulletin anyway, so it's just
Yeah,
you just took it right off the teletype, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
exactly. Yeah, it came through. Like I said, barely before the meeting. It just barely made it.
You know what you
Right.
need? You need a little teletype artifact in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right. So let's see. In an attempt to capitalize on the recent popularity of cryptocurrencies, the Amateur Radio Relay League has created Digcoin. In coordination, the FCC has modified Part 97 to allow cryptography, quote, to facilitate payments and provide liquidity, end quote. The move has been hailed by Henry Block, N6BTC, as evidence of amateur radio's continued service to the public. Digcoin uses a proof-of-work consensus method, whereby transactions are confirmed by volunteer CW amateur operators called coin-ops. Coin-ops are sent a randomized set of countries and must prove they've worked each via QSL cards. While there are no speed requirements for coin-ops, a minimum of 10 words a minute is suggested to ensure the multiple 256-digit values are sent in a timely fashion. While still in its infancy, a petition is already in review at the FCC to provide additional spectrum to facilitate the increasing transaction load. At the moment, Digcoin slightly lags other cryptocurrencies with respect to transaction times. While many Digcoin transactions are confirmed in as little as 2 weeks, some can take a year or more. Currently, the new coin is primarily used in the ham community, with its most popular uses being swap meets and serving as payment of FCC amateur licensing fees. End of bulletin.
Very good.
That's amazing. I mean, honestly, I cannot wait to start spending money now.
I know,
Hey,
right?
boy, it's a new thing. Yeah.
Buy some
All
Magic spray.
Hopefully, they don't make the encryption any larger because honestly,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
I mean, with an ever evolving system, they're probably going to have to go to like 400-bit encryption. And I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to double to 20 words a minute.
Well,
And we're,
You
the
know,
guys who are really killing it on Bitcoin they're sending cut numbers.
right,
that's gonna
okay.
be a real boom to the natural traffic system, boy. That's gonna keep them busy. They
Yeah,
have
well,
real traffic now.
the biggest concern that I have is I don't know if the Bitcoin can survive, because if the encryption goes up too high, then
Yeah.
you may not be able to have enough operators that can send that fast in
Yeah.
order to keep up with the encryption. So,
Well, we just have to get people on the air, get them trained. That'll give us a real incentive.
yeah, that's true. Now, let me ask you, I know that they sell these boxes where you can, well, what do they call them? Mining stations, mining boxes.
Yeah, mining rigs. Yeah.
Mining rigs. Is this going to be possible? Can I set up a HF shortwave station and mine Bitcoins?
Yeah, it's FT13 is a new thing they're working on.
FT13. That
Yeah,
makes
so you
perfect sense.
unmanned, you just let it go.
Got it. So will I be able
to like a new FT8?
Yeah.
Well, will I be able to use like FL Digi to, or one of the CW decoders to mine?
Maybe some of it's going to be proprietary, so I'm not sure if it's going to be open or not. But the further they get, the tougher it's going to be to make all those protocols open.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's but thank God it's not going to be through sideband, because I just
no, we're not. Well, you're going to hear these numbers, but it won't mean a thing to you and me, because we're just copying what we hear.
Right.
It's like like the military when they copied Fox traffic, it was all code and cipher.
Yeah.
They had no idea what it was.
the biggest problem that I'd have with that is I'd really have a hard time with accents. And if I'm sending Ditcoin, if it were sideband, then I would really have a hard time understanding foreign Ditcoins. So, this method is really going to work out for me. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you.
All right.
Okay. 9 o'clock means I get to eat dinner now.
Yay.
So I can smell it cooking in the other room.
Oh,
Anybody
you
have
can't.
anything?
All
Anybody has anything else to add? Please unmute yourself and chime in now. Mike, I'm sorry. Thank you. Mike, I'm sorry we missed your story this year. We'll get to you next year,
That was a great one too. Yeah. No, I have a question. I have a buddy of mine who's interested in taking his technician ticket, his exam. Do we have enough folks in the club that we could do that sometime?
We do, but the problem that we have is the fire that went on up north in the Chico area destroyed our VEC group's paperwork, and in an emergency to continue their operations of the VEC and the VE exams, they had to borrow all of our paperwork back. So currently, everything we have, all our testing materials are now back in Chico doing what they need to do. So we don't have the paperwork to perform the test.
We have an idea when we might be able to?
Well, that's a good question. I will have to contact
I know
that member.
there's a guy up in Rockland that's doing it, Jeff K6W, what is it called now? A6OK, he does tests up there in Rockland.
Yeah,
I don't know when he does them though.
But you know what, Mike, you
But
can do,
maybe.
you can take the exam online now.
Yeah. You can.
So he can do it anytime there is an opening on the online sessions to do it. He needs a camera, of course, because they need to be able to monitor that he's not cheating. But otherwise, it's just like a Zoom meeting, and they make sure that you're taking the exam with nobody around.
And who's that through?
Carol, do you have any information on any of the online testing?
Yeah, there's a, you could, I'll go ahead and I'll put a link in there. It's, gee whiz. Just a moment here. I'll look it up. I'll even look that up and I'll be able to tell you in just a moment.
Great, thank you.
There's a number of places that you can do that, and you can go online and see what their schedule is and see if they have openings. Here it is. Hamstudy.org slant bar sessions. Go there to hamstudy.org / sessions, SESSIONS. And that'll bring you to where you can look for online exam sessions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and in the future, I think that we would do better to do online testing as opposed to in-person testing, because there's an opportunity for us to provide that service all across the country. And then, of course, none of the VEs would have to gather in a location at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
We could do it from our own homes on Zoom, and we only need 3 of us who have the certification. And as you recall, everybody who wanted to be certified is certified by our VEC group. So you should have a identification and a certification for the VE. Mike, I think you were there. I don't know if you signed the paperwork or not. I don't remember.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so you are a VE as well.
All right. Good one. Yeah.
And I think we have at least 5 people. So I'm sure that we could get 3 together on a Zoom meeting in order to do VE examinations.
Well, I'm also a VE, but I'm certified through the ARRL.
Yeah, I also have ARRL certification, but it doesn't matter which group your VEC through or VEC group is. You're still certified. So we could have a mix of ARRL and gosh, I don't know why.
It doesn't matter anymore. Good.
Yeah, exactly. So we'd be covered if we want to do it. And of course, many of us are extras, so we wouldn't have a problem testing somebody for technician through extra. So, all right. Well, with that, I'm going to go eat my dinner. If you guys want to stay, I can leave it open, but otherwise I'll say thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mike, for everything you do for the club too.
Oh, it's not me. It's that other guy behind me. Oh, you can't see him. You know.
Oh, that guy.
Thank you. Really, you do.
I see the Eskimo there in Alaska.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you talking about Neil? Oh.
No, I'm talking about Gakona, Alaska, the guy there in the harp picture.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's in the 3rd trailer to the right.
Chris, we'll see you on CW.
Okay. Night, guys.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
And by the way, the station passage was very poor. A lot of some calls didn't get much.
Right. So, thank you again to everybody, and congratulations, John.
Yep.
We can't wait to see what ends up on there. Now, I can only say thank God Steve didn't win, because the shipping charges to get that up to him, if it's on a big giant board now.
I was thinking that. I thought this saved the club money. You know that?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Actually,
Yeah,
listen,
I'm happy to lose.
Don't
You can
worry.
give it to him virtually.
Don't worry.
No, don't worry. It no matter how big the trophy or what it weighs, to a certain degree, because we could always use a trucking company, but
Well, it's got
as
to
long
get
as
very delicate. We got to make sure it's well.
it would be well packed.
Yeah.
So do not let that discourage you, Steve, next
Never.
year, because we will have no issues packing it up and shipping it up to you.
No, sir.
Or anybody else, anybody who's a member. That's why we collect dues. And I have an incredible shipping deal with UPS, where I can get anything up to about 25 pounds in a 12 by 12 by 12 box.
Well, that trophy's heading that way.
Yeah, it may be, but I can.
I should have some
that-
lithium-ion batteries, right?
I think that right. Yeah, that shipping would be like 12 or 13 bucks. So
Actually, when you need batteries, your battery has to be extra. We have to ship those separate.
no, we just there's a easy way around that. On the form when you fill out the UPS form.
You don't
there's
check
that-
the battery?
Right. You
Yeah,
don't check
okay.
that box,
Okay.
so, and listen, if it
You
blows
can
up,
put it on a self-driving Uber.
Yeah.
If I
Might
had
be
one,
a
I
little
was going to put a
expensive.
little flashing tower light on the top of it, but oh well, I'll
Yeah.
start writing my
Um,
next story for next year.
There you go.
there is
you
a
go.
beacon. There is a beacon at top, so you
There
could
is,
make
yeah.
it light. So you
Oh.
could make it light up.
There you go,
Yeah.
Steve. Make it light up. See, we
There
got a
you go.
transmitter
Okay.
that works.
Just
I'm gonna-
contract Houdina remote car,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Woodina.
So
Yeah.
so that's your goal for next year. So do strive for that, because you were right on edge there. It was a real close
tough.
one.
Oh, I tell you, I was on the edge of my seat when the boats came in, but that's
Nail
okay.
biter.
Yeah,
It-
real nail
it-
biter. I mean,
It was.
Yeah.
I think the extra suspense of having Chris send in the tiebreaker via
I know.
email, I should have actually turned on the radio and had him Morse coded over.
I could have
And
done
then,
that.
and
I could
then,
have done that. Yeah.
and then only those who are listening to the meeting that understand Morse code would know who actually won.
right.
Yeah. Now, Mike, out in an American Morse, just to be sure.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Not many of those people around left anymore.
No.
Yeah.
They all did.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I know how to draw dashes and dots, and I could go back to my old handbook and look up the American Morse code, and I'd figure out what you were saying.
It was only
Yeah,
3 or 4
so-
letters. So like one name didn't even change in Morse. So,
Yeah.
Right.
depending what name it is.
It's just
Well, if
weird to
you-
have a space between letters.
Yeah. The only problem though, Chris, is if I had you send it over the air with American Morse, the FCC would have come and arrested you,
No, they won't.
because
They
you
do it all
know
the
it's
time. No, you got to just identify your call and you're fine. They don't care.
no foreign languages
No, I'm not a
or
foreign language. I used to use this crap stuff 40, 50 years ago.
I don't know. You're
Talking
going to
the old
jail.
guys. I did.
You're going to FCC jail, and there's no way around it.
No. I did it all. I do it all the
Well,
time.
listen,
Anyway, I've been to jail.
I've been sending erroneous stuff with your call letters attached to it for a year now. So you're going to FCC jail,
All
whether
right.
it's you or not. Oh, did I say that out loud? Oh,
Yeah, you did.
Say, one quick thing before we all go. Wasn't that weird, that interference we had on the net a week ago? Somebody, was that
That
malicious?
wasn't really the real. No, that was the guy.
That was malicious. Yeah, malicious.
Yeah, that was
That was
malicious. Yeah, they
Yeah,
were
I-
following us around.
Yeah, that was not N3HI. It was somebody
No way.
else.
No way. Not even
So-
close.
No, I
I've
doubt
talked to
it.
N3HI and he doesn't do over about 10 or 12 words a minute, and he does not use a bug.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
And not
of
only that, he was
course,
following us around. He was talking to us. Okay, come see what I'm doing now. And he just kept on going. So
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
he
right.
knew what he was
So-
doing.
Oh, wow.
so if that happens again, Steve, all you got to do is kick on the 5K linear, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get
yeah.
another KPA 1500 and parallel them, and just for those special occasions.
Well, just use one as a preamp. And
Yeah, there
then,
you go.
yeah,
There you are.
That's right.
you'll be good. And for anybody else, 1-800-DB spray.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you'll all
Operators
be
are
fine.
standing by.
Yeah. So
Operator standing by. Yes, sir.
you'll be good. So
Okay.
all right. Well, we'll look for you on the net Tuesday night, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. 8
Yeah,
p.m.
I'll be doing it again. So you don't want to check in, you don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, and on the Tuesday net, we'll have, of course, John come on and send his whole Bitcoin
Story.
BS story on air so that everybody can enjoy it through CW.
All 200.
Mine
I'm
make-
gonna convert it to digits. Just send the digits.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. All right.
Yeah,
That's a good
right.
idea.
It was a good one, John.
Yes, it was. So, yeah, just send it in a 256 digit transmission and you'll be
I'll send
fine.
the ASCII codes for the each character.
Can you send that as a QR code?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what we'll do is we'll write down the digits into a QR code, and then people can scan it with their phone, and then they'll get their story online.
Oh,
It'll play it to them in Morse code.
yeah.
All right. So we'll hear you on
I
the
love that.
the net then Tuesday with that QR code.
Oh, great.
Excellent. Very
All
good.
right.
All right, guys.
See you guys
Gentlemen,
later.
ladies,
Bye.
thank you very much. Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Okay,
Yeah.
Appreciate
thanks
it.
a lot.
Bye-bye.